Dragon Ball Legends needs a huge win right now with Legends Fest 2025. I'm talking great character choices with nearly perfect kits and mechanics, but is that even possible right now? That's what we're here to talk about today, including some actual hints they've provided for characters that we will almost certainly see during Legends Fest 2025. Our first and most obvious hint are going to be the two Zenkais that we have received over the last couple of weeks, the Vegito Blue and the Bojack. Now, to provide some actual meat to this hint, if you look back just last year, the Zenkai right before Fest 2024 was Red Zamasu. And what was part one of Fest? Oh, that's right, Goku Black and Vegito Blue. There's some pretty obvious correlation between Bojack and Vegito Blue, but we'll get to the pure raw character choices that I have in mind that I think we'll see in just a moment. And more importantly than any of this, something tells me that Bojack wants you to like the video right now. Our next hint is one that I've seen a lot of people just sort of like throw to the side because they don't think last year's had much to do with it or any correlation. That'd be the free-to-play character. This year's free-to-play character was Super Saiyan Goten, which I think is a bigger signal than a lot of people are giving it credit for. More on that when we get to character choices as well. But since Shinron was last year's free-to-play character, and while GT didn't have the biggest presence during Legends Fest, there was still a GT character released during Legends Fest nonetheless with Cell and Frieza. Pause there because I really want to call them Celza and I stopped myself for some reason and I don't know why. But it doesn't necessarily end at sin either, because if you go back to 2023, we got that free-to-play Gohan, and guess what was a part one headliner for Fest 2023? Oh, that's right, Beast Gohan. So I think there's a bit more to this Goten than people are giving it credit for. Then there's a hint that I kind of want to debunk just a little bit, and that's people looking into this Legends Fest 2025 trailer very deeply, looking at the colors here, the colors there. And I just want to remind you guys of Legends 7th anniversary part 2 teaser, where it very much so clearly looked like either a Super Gogeta or an Orange Piccolo, and it was neither. It was Saiyan Saga. So I wouldn't look too deeply into those colors because I don't think much of that matters. So now it's time to talk characters. We're talking not just part 1 but also part 2 and part 3, all right here in this video. Part 1, let's get the obvious one out of the way. Super Gogeta. You have a Bojack, which is clear representation for movies, sagas from the movies, and then you also have a Vegito Blue, whose specific Zenkai is actually for Fusion Warrior. Now, I want to go ahead and get in front of this. I've seen a lot of people say they'll just do the reverse of the 6th anniversary, which is where we got Super Vegito with Gogeta Blue, so they would team up Super Gogeta with Vegito Blue. I'm not gonna say that that's just completely impossible, as they have continued to just do a lot of similar characters back to back to back to back. I mean, we got 4 fusions last year in one singular year. It was instant. The only fusion not represented last year is Super Gogeta, but just simply because Vegito Blue was literally one of the part 1 characters for Fest last year, I just don't think they would bring him back right here in this exact same spot. So never say never, but I don't think he has any weight here. I think if anything, these two characters are pointing specifically to Super Gogeta. Now, if not him, then they are the thumbnail here. They are so insanely underrepresented in this game, and honestly in both of the mobile games, and that's going to be the Super Saiyan Gods. We haven't really seen them introduce anything too drastically new. I mean, Super Saiyan 4, you know, Vegeta had the cool new sort of like tag in mechanic, and there's like some stuff, but nothing truly substantial like a tag switch. If they were ever going to do something like super groundbreaking again, I could see them wanting to do a weird callback to the original blue tag unit, but then do something completely fresh, completely new with, say, the Gods maybe. I do think this is a character that is going to show up somewhere sooner than later, whether they be solo characters or together as a tag character. I know I feel like I've been saying this for a bit, but there's just like a 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th sense going on in my brain that is telling me we're about to get the representation from the Super Saiyan Gods, and this could be it, especially since you have a Saga from the movie character. You have Vegito Blue, who's not only a fusion warrior but also is a God Key character, and that could be the hint there, because I don't believe the hint from that guy is future. I have 2 more picks that are in line with our Vegito Blue and Bojack hint. One of those I think is pretty cool. The other, I really hope they don't do. First up is DBS Broly. I know I just mentioned the Super Saiyan Gods from that film, but DBS Broly is going to, no joke, be 5 years old. The only one in this game that's of like premium quality, Ultra or Legends Limited, will become 5 years old in December of this year. That is insane. They've not touched that character in so long. So I would love to see him involved somewhere in this Legends Fest, and if not here, at least in the 8th anniversary, man. Like, what is going going on with this character in this game. And then last but not least, and that's going to be a Beast Gohan, that they would do something with Beast and Orange Piccolo. I don't really want to see Beast, you know, anytime soon. It'd be cool if they did the reverse, where it's like an Orange Piccolo that has like a Beast assist involved somehow or something, but I would just rather than stay away from Beast for at least another year, or maybe even more at this point. And if I were to pick of all these I mentioned, I think the Super Saiyan Gods of DBS Broly make the most sense, because if you look back at the 7th anniversary, all the units that released together actually were thematic, right? Part 1, Part 2, Part 3 were all thematic. Last year's Part 1 was thematic. So it's not to say that they could still not pull from multiple sagas and them not be related at all. However, there is a mechanic that I would love to see them bring back, and that's that clash they introduced from 7th Anniversary Part 2. And if they did Super Saiyan Gods or something from the DBS Broly movie with Goku and Vegeta, and then also a DBS Broly, they could actually have a clash do and say something cool, or cool animations or something like that. However, the argument against that is Legends loves to introduce new mechanics and new cool things like that, like, I don't know, the synchro gauge, and then never touch them again, or not touch them for an insanely long time. So because of that, they could absolutely do two characters in Part 1 that have nothing to do with each other, and that is where this Goten comes into play, because we are 1,000,000% due up for a revamp of the green LF SSJ3 Goku. This is a moment that has not been touched in a really, really long time. And honestly, when they were pitching this idea of supporters, I pictured it more in my head of like this moment where you're doing something cool that's like giving Goku energy, right? Like supporters that are actually giving Goku energy. So either it could be a total revamp that would look incredible of this particular character, similar to what they did with Dynamic Goku, or it could just be quite literally the 8th anniversary LR from Dokkan in Legends form, which probably makes more sense for it being a Fest Part 1 headliner. And that could be where Goten is coming from. Now, here's my other big brain theory with this. If you actually take a look at all the different celebrations we've had this year, we've actually touched on, specifically for Z anyway, Cell Saga, Android Saga technically, and I'm only saying that because this game specifically breaks that down, like those are the very specific episode tags in this game. We've had Saiyan Saga, we had Frieza Saga, but the one Z Saga we're missing is Majin Buu Saga. And I just think they're cheeky, and they would love to make sure that they hit all of the Z tags this year. So I feel so confident in saying that somewhere during Fest, we will see a Majin Buu Saga character. And in my opinion, the one that is due up the most, probably really Buuhan. But if not Buuhan, it is this moment specifically doing something with the Spirit Bomb that literally ends the series. And as much as I would love Buuhan to be here, Part 1 units specifically are the ones that set the tone for the entire celebration, are the ones that get people to come back, are the ones that people get, you know, people to download the game for the first time ever. They have to nail those characters. And as much as I personally want to have a Buuhan in this game, like really, really bad, I just don't know if he's that character that he'd get some people to download, but not, you know, a mass amount of them. Now that brings us to Part 2, and a very obvious massive omission from this year, and it could end up being Part 1 as well, but that is the mini versions of the Diamond characters, right? This was the game that got them in the game fastest, beat basically every other game, right? We had adult SSJ3 Vegeta only a couple weeks after that episode aired. We had adult Super Saiyan 4 Goku only about a month after that episode aired. So very, very fast turnaround. However, because they jumped to the adult versions and did not touch the mini versions, they're still MIA, which is crazy. And my guess is they're not going to just let them be a monthly. They're going to include them somewhere, and probably here. Now, I don't know that they would do both of them at the same time. So if I had to choose between Mini SSJ 3 or Mini SSJ 4, I'm going to pick Mini SSJ 4. Then Part 2 to that, I'm going to keep it very simple, is an actual true standalone Orange Piccolo. Nothing to do with Beast Gohan, because it is crazy that Superhero is now 3+ years old. The Orange Piccolo that's in the game is a revival character, and that's the only way to get to Orange Piccolo. He's now 2.5 years old. I think we are absolutely due up for a standalone Orange Piccolo, and could be more of that movie's representation that we are so clearly going to get here, because until the later half of this year, we had no movies, which is crazy. We went the entire anniversary with 0 movies. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that Legends Fest will probably be pretty movies heavy to make up for such a lack of what is typically a very attentive tag. This is something that is getting buffed multiple times a year, and literally didn't see its first character until Meta Cooler this year. Now, in that same vein of movies, if they could also have done that BoJack, and we've not seen this one in a long time, but that is a Super Saiyan 2 Gohan specifically from the BoJack film. I think it is more than possible. I think it's actually potentially very likely that we see this character much sooner than later. And then obligatory, we're back here. It's been a long time. Legends original? I don't think so. I think maybe it's dead. I don't know. I would love to see during Legends Fest this year to finally have a playable version of Shallot. That is something we've been asking for like 2 years now. Please, like, what are we doing, man? You know, I don't know. I hope that's here. Before we dive into part 3, because part 3 is the big daddy, okay? Part 3 is where, do they go crazy? Do they do the anniversary thing? So let's talk some facts. 2023, before we got the fest, had 15 premium releases. By the time the year was over, there were 19 total premium releases in the game from 2023, with 6 Ultras and 13 LFs. Fast forward to 2024, we had 18 premium releases before we started fest. So we had jumped 3 more additional premium units in 2024 compared to 2023. Now, by the time we were done with 2024, we had 23 total premium releases, 6 of those being Ultras, 17 of those being LFs. Now, in 2025, I've seen a lot of discussion about they've upped Ultras, they've done all this, but if you just take a second and count, right now, going into Fest, we've had 5 Ultras. It is the exact same amount of Ultras that we have had every other year before. The only difference here is that instead of getting 3 Ultras on the build up to the anniversary, we only got 1. We only got 1 singular Ultra from January until July. And usually in that exact same time frame, we get 3. And then they double drop for the anniversary, bringing us to 3 for the year in July. And then, of course, we got the 2 additional. And so it just felt like a lot all at once, when in all reality, at this exact same time frame, the 2 previous years, we had the exact same amount of Ultras as we do right now. However, there has been an uptick in total premium releases, because right now for this year, 2025, we have 20 premium releases, 15 LFs and 5 Ultras. Where are those 2 additional premium releases coming from 2024? I'll tell you. One of them is the simple fact that we had an uptick in anniversary units. We've never had a celebration with 6 premium releases. We got 4 LFs and 2 Ultras. But Nano, you just said that they didn't release as many Ultras in the first part of the year. They didn't, but they replaced all those time slots with LFs. So even though there was only 1 Ultra pre-anniversary, they upticked everything else. So the actual exact spot that would have been the technical uptick, well, is 7th anniversary part 3. But then also in August has been a solo release month for forever. And this year we got the Metacooler and Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. It's the first they've ever done that. As a historian of this game, as a first of its kind. Looking at the Ultra for this year, a lot of talk about there's just no way they could do a dual Ultra drop. And I'm here to say they've done it once, they can now do it whenever they want again. It is absolutely possible. And if you paid attention to everything I just said there, if they end up doing a singular Ultra drop for Fest, which I would personally rather them do that, that puts it at 6 Ultras for the last 3 years in a row. No uptick of Ultra releases, which honestly, bravo, because those have worse rates, and I guarantee you make them substantially more money and are the strongest cards in the game. Truly, bravo to them for having not upticked that even more. If this were Dokkan, I mean, in Dokkan right now, we've had like 20 plus LRs released this year. The flip from the standard card to LR happened almost instantaneously once LRs became a thing in that game. Ultras have existed in this game for 4 years now, and they have been mostly chill with them, and I'm actually decently impressed with that. But beyond just calling out the Z sagas that we saw this year, sitting here not boring you with all the different tags we've seen, one tag that they've sort of teased a little bit, but they've never like fully dove into is GT. And so I feel really strongly in saying that I think the part 3 Ultra will be Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Now, they could go obviously initial route, which we've seen some cool custom art of, or they could also go concept that we saw from Weber, which is very similar, or if not identical, to the Intelligence LR SSJ4 Goku from Dokkan. And they could also go the route that is fighting, you know, Nova Shinron. There's many ways they could go with this Ultra, you know, Super Saiyan 4 Goku, whether it be full power or just standard. I do think they are building to a Super Saiyan 4 Goku. He feels pretty close to a lock. Now, I'm going to give my obligatory, I got to say it here because I need it to happen, and I just believe in my heart of hearts that DBS Broly is going to get an Ultra. Like he just is. Z Broly has one, and then Z Broly got an LL later on, a Legends Limited later on. So if they've not done DBS Broly anywhere here, I do think he could also be here, and it could also be a dual version of that. And last but not least, and I kind of sort of teased with this one, and I still believe this, I think at some point they're going to spice things up. I just do. The thing with gacha games is they are a spectacle, and I think that, you know, outside of us forking over our wallets for said spectacle. They're the most interesting when they are truly a spectacle. And this game has been very stagnant for a long time in terms of general interest. And I always love to compare to Dokkan because it's sort of the brother game, the sister game to this game. Dokkan has not introduced anything above an LR necessarily. They have changed things as time has went on. They've introduced a variant known as a Carnival LR over there, which has changed complete like structure of how they do things on Dokkan in terms of like their celebrations and stuff. As toxic as this might sound, I think we're ready for a new spectacle. And so that's why I keep bringing up things like, that's why I mentioned during part 1, a new mechanic that we just basically like really never seen them do before would be really interesting. So similar here, and I've said this many times, but our first ultra tag unit would be really cool. And I'm really shocked they've not done that. And that's really tame. You know, I feel like the tag unit is something that Legends is really known for. There's something just very satisfying about tag switching in this game. It is maybe the most satisfying thing this game has ever done, in my honest opinion. Like Synchro Gauge was cool. It did not have the impact on me of that first time I got to use that tag switch, Super Saiyan Blue Goku and Vegeta, and definitely not the reveal of it, because that was just so cool. So if it is not Super Saiyan 4 Goku and not my Prage, just please let DBS Broly get some awesome representation soon. I want the Super Saiyan gods to be here and to be the first tag unit, you know, and especially. And by the way, when I say gods, I don't need a new Gogeta Blue right now. Like, keep Gogeta Blue locked away for a bit. Let's save him. You know, let's save him for something special later on. Give me just the gods, dude. The gods are so sick. They have so many cool like moments that could be represented. So much they could do with that, because there's so much, as many people say, which apparently is a fault of the film. There's a lot of fighting in DBS Broly, a ton of it. And so there's just so much reference material that is just not represented in this game literally at all. And so a new spectacle would be the first ever ultra tag unit. And especially if you're only going to do a solo ultra, which again, I think is probably more healthy for the game overall, then do that. But in that same vein, I can't make one of these and not mention it. I think that the community, or at least those that pay attention to the game, are ready for an ultra LF. I just think they are, man. I'm sorry, dude. I think it is time. Break the emergency hatch. Let's see something really cool that we've never seen before. Let's give us some sort of crazy ultra LF that has ink art implemented into the actual LF itself. Wow us, Legends. Like that's kind of what gacha games are meant to do, because they make so much money, and that's kind of, I feel like that's kind of their purpose, is to literally wow you with this new shiny object. Wow us with the new shiny object. I think with Legends anything is possible, but I feel really confident in these picks, which means maybe none of them will be right, but something tells me that I think we nailed at least like 3 of these. I feel pretty confident in that. I also feel confident that you are going to enjoy this video right here, and I'll see you guys over there in that one. Bye.